Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Live. Matthew and I are here. Unfortunately, Drotty's under the weather right now. He's been kind of dealing with some stuff for the last, Matthew, couple months? And
yeah, I bet that.
It's just kind of all accumulated tonight. But guys, I'm joined by my friend Matthew McFadden. Matthew, how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. It's been a good day. How are you?
You know what? I've recovered from the loss a little bit. I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things, and I'm ready. I'm ready to have a pretty dang good conversation because we got a lot of questions on Twitter from you guys. So we're gonna have some great questions to answer for you. Matthew, I don't even think that you're ready, man.
I don't know, honestly.
You did win your first game of Fortnite today, so maybe you are ready though.
I'm ready for anything.
That's true.
That first one was just something else.
Matthew got his first solos win in Fortnite today, guys. First solos win. That's what I'm talking about. But good to see people in here. We got Chris, Derek, Ryan, Mr. Exclusive. Good to see you guys all in here. Happy to have you. So we're going to jump right into our first question, which is from Linton Gum, who it's at _Linton, LYNTON_. He's also in here as Tango Gaming, so you guys might know him. So his question for us, Matthew, was he said Lindelof had a good few games, but was at fault for a couple of things against City. Do you think that the reason for he's struggling is because of the physicality of the Prem compared to his previous league, or is he simply not good enough? Also, do you think he should be replaced in January? So, Matthew, what do you think about Lindelof?
To answer that question about is he good enough or is he physical enough, I'd probably say no to both. I think every player's going to go through a good run of form. But Lindelof, I think, just is not United quality at the moment, or probably won't be in the next few years. The problem with him is when any striker with any form of strength comes up against him, he crumbles. And for a ball-playing centre-back as well, I don't know about you, but I always just look there in absolute fear when he's on the ball, not knowing what kind of pass he's going to make. So for Lindelof, I just don't think he's good enough. Yeah, he's been on a good run, but I think that run well and truly ended after the Man City game. As for selling him in January, I don't know. January is a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Because there's not many big deals happening. I think a lot of people get carried away from just looking at January as an opportunity to bring in players when, in fact, you can't really do that. Yeah, we signed Sanchez last January, but what other big January deals have happened? So I don't think we're going to sell him in January, but next summer, I think we should probably look to offload him.
And that's fair. So, just real quick, I wanted to shout out, hey, Jack, Craig, Reza, Jay Hart, Saban, good to see you guys all in here. Vino, good to see you in here. I just saw you popped in here. So here's my thing. And Jack just said it. It doesn't help having Smalling playing beside you.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we all feel that Eric Bailly is our best center back, and yet he still can't get into a game. It's very, very frustrating. I wonder what giving the combination of Bailly and Lindelof as a center back pairing would do, especially if we weren't just completely sitting back and letting teams just completely take us on. Because it doesn't help you as a defender to literally have to be sitting at a certain point, And Chris just said, I disagree. Andrew Fellaini's our best center back. That's fair, Chris. That is fair. He basically is a glorified center back if you really want to get into it. But
to be fair, it doesn't take much to be our best center back.
That is unfortunately true. But and actually, who said it here? So Jack did bring up somebody that I am very interested in, and I would love to see Tuanzebe brought back and be given a chance to start for Manchester United. I think that Tuanzebe could potentially be our best center back. I mean, Matthew, we've all kind of seen what he's been doing for Aston Villa. I mean, do you think that he's got that kind of quality?
See, when it comes to the Championship, there's a massive difference in between Championship and Premier League, never mind Championship and top-level Premier League. It's going to take a while for him to adjust to that, but the guy's, 20 years old? So he's got plenty of time to develop, and apparently he's doing really well at Aston Villa too. People are saying that he should start every single game and that he's the best defender in that. So maybe that experience from last year under John Terry, having him mentoring him, was probably did the world of good, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think with our centre-backs right now, there's just an extreme lack of quality. Like, Bay's a good centre-back and all that, but he is prone to having an absolute howler of a game occasionally. And I can't help but think, is he only a really good centre-back because the other ones in a team are so bad? But either way, I think bringing back Tuanzebe maybe in January or whatever wouldn't be too bad a decision to make. If it means that Phil Jones is out of the team, then yeah, sure, anything.
I mean, that's fair. Let's just swap them. How about that? But I mean, and Craig does bring up a good point. He's like, Villa aren't doing well, but he's having personally having a great season. And I feel like Axel Tuanzebe is one of those players that he's got the physicality that he could handle the Premier League, and I think it'd be interesting to see what he could do for Manchester United and given a true run of games. You know, like something like what Timbo was given when he was playing under Van Gaal. You know, I think that everybody felt like Timbo could be a great player because of his time for Van Gaal. So, Chris, Matthew has not gotten his shirt yet, and it's something that him and I have to talk about offline because I never got a shirt size for him. So we'll talk about that offline. But we'll go ahead and we'll move on questions because our next question is actually a really good one from at modern_fan. At modern_fan. He said, do you guys think that the club will be able to convince David De Gea to sign a new deal? If so, how? And if not, who do we replace him with?
David De Gea, what a weird one. I think for the past, 4 years or so, we've always been on edge about him leaving, especially that last season under Louis van Gaal, where he pretty much did leave, but didn't. As the months go on and that contract isn't signed, then we just get more and more nervous. But you know what? Do you really blame him if he leaves? Like, he's been our best player by an absolute country mile over the last few seasons.
Yeah. And it's sad because he should be even better than he is if he had a better defense around him.
Yeah, true.
I mean, and in fairness, again, I won't even say a better defense. I won't even say a better defense. I'll just say if we weren't literally sitting back inside of our own box. Like make it so he actually has a chance to see a ball.
I think as well, David De Gea kind of, I'm not saying enjoys it when he's got more saves to make, but when he gets on a good run and making good saves, then there's no stopping him. Like you saw that Arsenal game. Yeah. He was just peppered with shots and he made, 14 saves or so? Yeah, he conceded one, but there's nothing he could have done about that. But people will look at that as one of the best keeping performances ever in the Premier League.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. The
thing is, he makes those sort of saves every single week as well. Like, that's nothing new to us.
So, I think that we can get him to sign a new deal if Mourinho is gone, though. I think it would require Mourinho being gone. Because I think De Gea wants some optimism back at the club. Because I feel like right now there's no optimism surrounding us, you know? And at the moment, I don't see David De Gea signing a new contract. Now, we have found out that his contract doesn't actually end until next year because we have the option to continue to keep him after this year. But if he was to go, we've had a few people mention Jan Oblak, which I think is a perfect replacement. Matthew, is there anybody else you would like to see brought in to replace him?
I don't know, to be honest. I think Ter Stegen from Barcelona could be a good one. But that's obviously providing that Barcelona would have said that, which you can't see happening.
So Ryan Beals actually, he brings up the keeper that I was literally just thinking about, which is Gianluigi Donnarumma, which I think would be a great pickup, an absolutely fantastic pickup. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the agility, he's got it all. And I remember us talking about him last year when the rumors that De Gea might be leaving for Madrid were happening.
Yeah, I remember that as well. There was that situation with Donnarumma's agent, I think it's Raiola, isn't it? Who he had said, yeah, he's definitely going or whatever. And then the Milan fans chucked fake money at him. I think that just shows how much of a controversy that Mino Raiola is. So when you're looking at keepers of any position for that matter, you need to look at agent as well. You'll see with his agent, it's the same agent as Paul Pogba, and he's brought in all these problems. But Donnarumma, for someone who's 19, I think, he's been playing for 3 years as Milan's top keeper. Like, there's no better experience than that.
I mean, you're playing against top level squads. You're basically guaranteed to have some Champions League action, and he's been doing a pretty good job. And we have a few different people throwing out different people, like maybe giving Joel Pereira a chance. Matthew, obviously, Lee Grant is the top choice. Let's be real about it.
That guy needs a statue.
But I mean, Lafont, that's another good one. I mean, then was it Asmir Begovic? Chris, is that right? Yeah. But I mean, I think that we've kind of reached a good point with that one. I mean, I look at the possible replacements, and in reality, I don't think there's anybody that could truly replace De Gea. But if we were, oh, okay, Chris. I'm sorry. Yeah. Begovic could be a good one then. I mean, the Bournemouth keeper. That's my bad. I kind of, like I said, I don't know all the players for all the different teams. I know all the big time players for him, but I mean, he's had a pretty good year. So we're gonna move on to a fun question from my friend at One Love United 6. He said, "When are United fans gonna get to superplex Mourinho?" I think it's a fair question.
In like birthday parties, people get piñatas that you just whack with a stick. I think Mourinho should be one of those.
Yeah.
Just all line up just to have a little shot at him.
I mean, I would take a swing,
Yeah.
But that's funny, Jack. Jack's like, Mourinho would probably bring back Peter Schmeichel. I mean, yeah, probably. That seems real.
I mean, he's old and he's 6'5", so perfect for him.
Yeah. I mean, and that's actually, now that I think about it, I might as well just say it. I actually wouldn't even mind Kasper Schmeichel coming to play for Manchester United.
I don't know what to make of him. I think the problem is right now we need to get some good centre-backs. So any keeper who's not a world-class keeper that we bring in should De Gea leave, we're going to need to properly strengthen that defence, or else we're going to ship in even more goals.
No, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I don't want to lose De Gea. I would prefer to keep De Gea at all costs, but you never know what's going to happen inside of this current just conundrum that we're in. I think that's the best way to put it. It's a weird time for Manchester United because there's so many rumors about so many people being out of contract. It's scary. It really is. It's scary. So next question is from @Nicholas_Mayers. And he said, with the current situation, what is a realistic target and how do we achieve this target for Manchester United? Which he's kind of going with more of like a, both in the league table and in like the Champions League. Like what is a realistic target for us? So, I mean, Matthew, that's a hell of a question. What is a realistic target for us?
See, on paper, we're Man United and we should be aiming for winning everything. But just purely by how horrendous we've been, I don't even want to say it, but top 4 maybe at a push. But to be fair, I don't think we're going to get that. But top 6 should never be a target. I think in terms of a target, not necessarily a league possession, but just getting some consistency. I think that's what we need right now, because we go on okay runs of form, and then the next few weeks we don't win a game. We're consistently inconsistent. That's the issue with us. So I think getting a few months of good form, seeing some sort of encouraging stuff on the pitch, I think will be some form of foundation going forwards. But league position, I have no idea how to answer that.
So, I mean, our friends Flex and Rants talked about this yesterday on their show. And it's amazing that we have gotten to the point at Manchester United that we are basically living game by game.
Yeah.
And Mourinho has lowered our expectations to the point where we're literally just getting excited for each result. Like we're just trying to figure out what's going on in each result. And I think that's a bad position to be in. I think it's a really bad position to be in because it's kind of made it so the fan base right now is either like living literally game by game, or they're people that are more like Flex and Rants that are looking at the big picture and saying, why is it that we're living literally week to week and we're getting excited because we're pulling out these lucky wins? And that's kind of how we were too. We're looking at these lucky wins and we're like, how are we pulling it out?
Yeah, that luck's only going to continue for a set amount of time.
Yeah, it's true.
Because realistically, this season, what have we actually relied on? Individual brilliance and Martial. Not any, form of tactic or whatever. Yeah, Mourinho did get it right against Juventus, but for the whole season, we've just been. I don't even know how to describe us. We've got no identity whatsoever. So I think nailing down that identity, and at least if we had one of those, we could actually see, oh yeah, look, we didn't do well in that game, but this is how we're going forward. But because we don't have an identity, it just makes things 10 times worse.
And Derek literally just put it out there. He's like, we're aspiring to teams such as Watford and Bournemouth. Let that sink in. And that's way too real. That we're trying to compare ourselves to teams like Watford and Bournemouth.
Yeah, when we played against Bournemouth, we thought, all right, we've got a good chance of catching up to them.
So let me ask you this, Matthew, because, he did mention the Champions League. Where do you think we could even get in the Champions League?
I reckon we'll get at the group stage. I think we're in a good position after that Juve win. See, when it comes to whoever we'll face against, I think it depends on where they finish first and second. The chances are we're going to finish second. So we're going to come up against the likes of Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, who, let's be honest, are 10 times better than us. I just want to see a good time, to be honest. Against a good team. Maybe not, Real Madrid, because we'll get absolutely pumped. But some decent level of opposition where we can, maybe get a bit of positivity and actually get past them. Although then again, most of us said that about Sevilla. Look what happened there.
Yeah. That's completely fair, because I have no faith right now that I don't even have the faith that we're going to get out of the group. I think that we're relying on a lucky result against Juventus, and we're basically saying that we're going to go and we're going to beat Valencia. And right now, I just don't see it. I don't see us beating Valencia. I could see a draw happening, which, in fairness, I think if a draw happens, that probably gets us out of the group.
Yeah, I think if it's a draw against Valencia and Valencia don't win their next game, which is against Juventus, then I think we'll get through.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like and so for me, I'm going to say that we will make it out of the group stage. I think we'll be very lucky to make it out of the group stage. Obviously with our win against Juventus, but I think that we will be lucky to make it out of the group stage. And then I think that we will get eliminated in that round of 16. And then as for the league, I'm just hoping for top 6, it's really sad. I'm just literally hoping for top 6. But at the same time, I don't want to be in that shit Europa League again.
That's what I was going to bring up. I would rather finish 7th and 6th. Or I know 7th sometimes gets the Europa League, but traditionally it doesn't. But I'd rather have no European competition and be in that Emmerdale Cup again.
Yeah.
We won it once, but it's just an absolute waste of a tournament. And that whole Thursday to Sunday games is just so annoying.
And Vino just said it, even top 6 might be a stretch right now, which, I mean, guys, I put the stats out there that no team has ever made it back into the top 4 when they were 10th and over 7 points back, being 9 weeks into the season. That's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I see no way we make it back into the top 4, especially after the battering we just took against City. So we'll see what happens, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on to our next question. And Jack said Rui Faria made Jose great. We now are seeing that Jose can't organize an attack or a defense, which, yeah, I mean, it's true.
Yep.
So our next question is from Reza Sunday, which that's at REZAKES, at REZAKES. And he said, should the board back Mourinho for transfers in January, or do we start preparing for life without him and start fresh with a new manager next campaign? And will Mourinho still be in charge come next season? So I think we kind of start with is Mourinho going to be in charge next season? Hell no. Matthew?
Nope. Nope, not for a million years.
Like, no chance in hell. So that kind of answers the question, should the board back Mourinho for transfers in January? I mean, Matthew, I'm basically going to say the same thing. Hell no.
Nope.
Give the money to me. I'll use it better. I'll literally do this all day with you guys. Give the money to me. Like, seriously. But so, I mean, and that, in fairness, I think that the next question does really kind of get into something that is a good question. Should we, we're kind of already doing it, but how should we be preparing for life after Mourinho? So I think that the question really is inside of this is, should we be looking at another manager right now, or should we be looking to pass it off to one of the assistants, or like give it to like Ryan Giggs or somebody like that that's like maybe on international duty and could be like the interim guy? So, I mean, Matthew, what do you think we should be doing to prepare for life after Mourinho?
I can't help but think, see if the boards are preparing for life under Mourinho, what's stopping them from getting rid of him now? If they're already in the process of thinking, right, who are we going to hire next, then they obviously have their reasons for thinking that Mourinho's not the right man. And I think, I don't know what their plan is with Mourinho, whether they'll keep him on. I hope not, and I don't think they will, but I just don't know what's happening with the board right now.
And honestly, I don't either. And that's the hard part, man, is that, I mean, and like Jay Hart just said, he's like, seriously, instead of considering cutting him, Mourinho, for his $20 million, they're considering giving him another $100 million. And I personally don't think that they're going to give him the money. I think that's just rumors, because I see no chance in hell that you're going to give a guy that has done what he has done money in January. And like to talking about trying to sell Bailly and Rojo, who, in fairness, like, they're not really getting game time. But, I mean, Matthew, they should be getting game time.
I'll be honest, I forgot Rojo existed. I think he's just permanently injured. He's like the Jack Welsh of defenders. But with Rojo, to be honest, I'd just sell him. I think he's got, again, like most of our centre-backs, he's got an absolute howler in him, and that coupled with the fact that he's so injury-prone, just might as well sell him, or at least watch something. As for Bay, 100% keep him. Even though I don't think he's, this world-class centre-back that some are kind of claiming him to be, he's definitely our best centre-half. And getting rid of him while we still got Phil Jones and Chris Smalling starting would be absolute suicide.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, you'd have to get rid of Smalling and Jones before you would get rid of Bailly or Lindelof. It's just my opinion. Like,
yep.
I don't see how those men still have, like, I can see how Smalling does, because Smalling has done more for Manchester United, but how Phil Jones has continued to make a living off of Manchester United blows my mind. Him and his salmon boots, as Mark would say.
Like a bloody tennis salmon. That the quote.
But we'll go ahead and we'll go on to honestly what is probably one of the more interesting questions we got of who do we think is Manchester United's best signing under Mourinho and who has been the worst signing under Mourinho. So honestly, that's a hard question to answer.
When you think of best signings under Mourinho, who do you actually think of?
The only one I can think of is either going to be Pogba or Zlatan.
Those were the two that I was thinking of. But then again, both of them have been questionable at times. I think with Zlatan, he was bought as a 1 year sort of fix to a striker problems. And he did well then. But then again, if you're signing someone to the club and you're measuring success, it's how long they've been there as well.
Yeah. So
with Pogba, again, he's inconsistent and there are issues around maybe his attitude or whatever. But he was bought as a statement signing as well. Like, we were in the Europa League and we broke the world transfer record.
Yeah.
For a guy who was Juventus' star player for years. I mean, who else does that?
Yeah.
That was when, Mourinho was still good and still actually commanded disrespect and didn't look like a bit of a laughingstock. So I'd say Pogba's probably been our best signing, but then again, there are some slight issues with him. I think if Bay didn't stay so injury prone, would have been him hands down.
Yeah, I agree.
And then again, it's always Lee Grant.
Yes, Lee Grant is the greatest signing of all time for Manchester United. Let's be real about it. Greatest signing.
£1.5 million, what an absolute bargain.
I mean, just for the sense of humor of it, I love the guy. I really do. But I mean, for me, Matthew, I mean, I think that our best signing is Paul Pogba. I mean, we all see what he can do, and we know that he is a world-class talent. Just absolute world-class talent, but he's not allowed to really be free. And it's something that I know Mark talked about in his show. Or no, it wasn't Mark. It was in the Flex and Rant show. They were talking about like how Martial is more worried about his defensive duties and like being more worried about that than he is about actually playing the position of an attacker. And I think it's literally the same thing with Paul Pogba. I think Paul Pogba is more worried about his defensive duties and what Mourinho has asked of him than he is about doing what he is best at, and that is being a great offensive talent. So, I mean, that for me, Paul Pogba, best signing, and I can't wait to see what he does under the next manager, and hopefully we don't sign him because, I mean, don't sign him. Hopefully we don't let him go. Hopefully we don't let Pogba go because I think that under the next manager, he's going to be absolutely class, and he's going to show the star player that he is. But as for worst signings, I'm going to go with Matic. As good of a season as he had for the first 10 games, he's basically been crap for the rest of them. I mean, he's slow. He's not great on the ball. He doesn't get rid of the ball quickly. I swear to God that the man does not know how to make a forward pass.
He doesn't know how to make a pass in general. He's making a pass 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah, he has to send a telegraph and let people know.
Yeah. Like, go to booking.com and look for forward pass options.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically true. I mean, I would give it to Mickey, but even with Mickey, I would have loved to have seen what Mkhitaryan would have done under another manager at Manchester United.
At least Mickey did well in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Like, that was his composition. But then again, he's an absolute bottle job.
Yeah. No,
when you're talking about bad signings, I think there's two ways of kind of determining that. One is based on how long they've been there. If it's a player who just hasn't done well and left after a season, then yeah, they're a bad signing, kind of like Di Maria or whatever. But I would say Matic has been a worst because of how consistently awful he's been.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was brilliant in that first 2 months. He was absolutely fantastic. Had a great partnership with Pogba, and then it's just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. So, I mean, I think we're pretty much both in agreement that Matic has been the worst signing. So, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. So our next question comes from @Orbea, and Orbea is Orbea. And the question is, why are the Glazers, even though financially things are on the up and up, letting everything else just slide by? Negative in the press with Mourinho's antics, no forward direction with the club and regarding rebuilding the team. So, I mean, that's a decent question of why are the Glazers letting things continue to go the way that they're going?
Because they struck deals with like kitchen companies and app companies and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty much it. As long as they're making money, and as long as United aren't in this horrific crisis, which to be fair, we aren't far off at the moment, as long as we're getting, you know, stable seasons and all that, then they don't care. And the thing is, with the Glazers, I've seen, you know, a few sort of pro-Glazer arguments, and some of them are to some extent true, but you've got to look at how they've actually spent the money and when they spent the money. They'll spend loads of money when we're not in a good situation, like we're in the Europa League or whatever, like Mourinho's first season, for example. But then when we're in Champions League and things are going on the up, they see that as, oh yeah, they don't need much investment. We're gonna, you know, to some extent restrict how much money they get. So I think it's down to when they spend their money that's the biggest issue. And there's obviously going to be that, you know, debate around whether they're good owners of an actual football club or not, which, to be fair, I think the obvious answer is no. They sort of treat Man United as if it's a business or something. And from a business standpoint, it's fantastic, but we're not a business. We're a football club first, business second, and that's how it always should be.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. I was actually going to say that I think it's because of the Glazers really view Manchester United as a business instead of as something that they love, which is like it's something that I think that if you and I were to be given, you know, let's say, Matthew, let's say that you and I all of a sudden came into $3 billion each, and we decided we wanted to buy Manchester United together. I have no doubt in my mind that you and I love this club enough to know that what we're going to do with the club. No doubt definitely. In my mind.
Obviously, it's hard to, you know, run a football club in terms of like finances and that kind of thing, but there's just so much of a difference between City's owners, for example, criticise them all they want. You know, they didn't really have much of a football background or whatever before they came to Man City, but at least they understand what the team is all about, and they're willing to put money into them. And obviously, yeah, they've cheated and all that, and that's terrible, but you kind of see my point. Or Leicester, for example, you know, it's obviously very topical. You had owners who were just cared about the club and wanted to invest in the club and did everything that they can so that they can, you know, do something absolutely mad.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. And so, I mean, there's been a couple of different comments here from people. Like, I mean, Ryan said because they treated their club as a personal piggy bank, sucking the money out of the club. I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Jamie Pearson, because money is generated all the time. Yeah, I mean, when top four is gone, they'll go, oh, we have to sack the manager to keep the money coming in. I mean, there's a lot of great points in here about the Glazers, and just listen. Ultimately, the Glazers are our owners, and they're going to continue to be our owners. In my opinion, I think they're going to be our owners for a long time. I don't think.
They've got no intention of letting go of United.
Yeah. Who are the new owners? So I mean, Chris, I mean, I really don't think that we're going to be seeing any new owners come in anytime soon. At least not in the next 5 years. Like I think we're a minimum of 5 years from seeing the Glazers sell the club. I do think that they will sell the club because I think they're going to wait for profits to hit a very, very high point because they do view it as a business. And honestly, I mean, coming from somebody who is very capitalistic, I view it as like, hey, listen, if that's what they want to do is they want to sell the club when their profits are at their highest, fair enough. Oh, Chris was asking about the Leicester, who are the new Leicester owners. I honestly don't know, Chris.
I think it's Vishay's son.
Yeah, I was say I think it's his son that's now taking over, but I don't know that for a fact. I don't want to speak on something that I don't know.
Or at least like he's the chairman or whatever, or in a high up position, but I'm pretty sure it's his son.
Yeah, I think so too. And Derek Cooney says Fergie was so good at being able to crack over the Glazers' frailties over the years, but the cracks unveiled when Fergie retired. Spot on, Derek. Absolutely spot on. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on from that point. Our next question comes from Daniel, who's at Dan MUFC 31, and you guys know Dan Jones from the comments here. Great guy. Thanks for the question, man. So he said, if you took over United and the owners gave you three, so basically he's saying if we were to be put in the position of Ed Woodward, and we were to be given a 3 to 5 year, we need to give a 3 to 5 year plan to get us back to being one of the elites again, what would your plan be? That's honestly a great question.
Ties in with the last question too.
Yeah, it really does.
Do you want to go first in this? Or
you know what? Sure. Yeah, I'll go first on this one. So if I was to have to put together a 5-year plan for Manchester United to make us so we were going to get back to being the elite club that we all know Manchester United can be, I would say we would need to start from the position of, listen, we got to start with a new manager, because I think that whenever you bring in somebody like an Ed Woodward, you're going to be giving them the choice of, hey, do you want to bring in a new manager? For me, I would bring in a new manager. For me, the manager I would be doing everything I could to bring in would be Pochettino. I think Pochettino is a great way forward for Manchester United. I believe that he would bring through the youth that Manchester United would want to bring through, and I believe that he would be getting the best out of the talent that we would have. And Jay Hart, I mean, a lot of people have mentioned this too about bringing in a director of football. I would honestly probably bring in a director of football. I would probably bring in somebody though that was gonna be like either like a Gary Neville, or maybe Patrice Evers, somebody that understands the club and what the club is about. If I was to bring in a director of football, bring in like Ryan Giggs, who's got managerial experience, but I think that Ryan understands what goes on at Manchester United. Just somebody that understands Manchester United. But then after that, I would basically be looking to get rid of every bit of deadwood we have at the club, which, I mean, you go into Darmian, Jones. I would be getting rid of Rojo, probably. Like, as much as I hate to say it, I think he's a decent center back, but I'd get rid of Rojo. Jesus, like, there's so many players I would get. That's the problem. Is like there's so many players I would get rid of, but at the same time, that's not a logical business plan either. So, I mean, Matthew, who is like? Let me ask you this: if you were to be like put in this position, who are some players you would be getting rid of? Because maybe we can tag team this a little bit.
Darmian, 100%. Just get rid of him. He's useless. Fellaini. Well, you know what? Fellaini's a changed man. He's shaved off that afro. I'm proud of him, and he's gonna score. He's gonna score next. You can just see it. Although I still would sell him. I wouldn't renew Valencia's contract. I think with Ashley Young, he's better than Valencia, definitely, and seems to have a little bit more longevity about him. Even though he is a pretty poor fullback in all his day, at least he's got that kind of versatility. Valencia's just finished. Would I get rid of Matic? Probably.
I would.
Like, he's getting into those early 30s years, so at least while he's still, worth something, at least you're going to get a bit of money back from him. I mean, £40 million for them. What an absolute joke of a signing that was. In terms of forwards, I wouldn't really sell any. Maybe Sanchez. But it's a difficult thing with him, because is he playing bad because of Mourinho, or is he playing bad because he's just on a big decline? So
here's the thing. If I was to be taking over today, I would say sell Sanchez, because I believe you could still get a good profit off of him.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that I would sell Sanchez. I would probably sell Lukaku too, simply because I think that you can bring in a better striker than him. I would sell him to the Italian league like you would want, and I would honestly do everything I could to bring in Icardi.
I'd probably do the same, actually.
I
think right now we just need a striker who can actually finish.
Yeah.
And see, if we didn't have a replacement lined up, I wouldn't sell Lukaku. I'd keep him for the rest of the season at least. But if we're going to get him, and if we're going to use him in some kind of swap deal or something like that, then so be it. Just ship him off.
I mean, JR says get Lewandowski. The only problem I have with Lewandowski, and it's something that Vino said, is for me, I want Manchester United to not be bringing in somebody that's got that kind of age to them. I'm not saying that like 31 is old by any means, but I think that we need to be looking at bringing in players that are less than 25 years old, at the tops 27. Like, that's absolute tops. And that'd be because they're absolutely in their prime of primes. So, I mean, Derek Cooney just said Memphis Depay. Would you bring back Memphis Depay right now?
I know a lot of people are on the Memphis hype train right now, but honestly, no. I think he suits being at that kind of Lyon club where they're a decent club, but they're not, a PSG or a Man United or a Man City or whatever. I think he suits being a star player in a slightly smaller team. But when he's, not getting everything his way and he's not the star player, then I think he's a completely different man.
That's completely fair.
He did have struggles under Louis van Gaal. The style of play just wasn't suited to him. But I think Memphis would be too much of a risk when you compare the fact that, yeah, he's doing absolute bits right now, but it's for Lyon in the French league, where really there's only, in this season, 2 good teams. And that's Lyon and PSG.
Yeah. Well, so here's some players. I mean, obviously there's a lot of deadwood we could get rid of. But here's the thing. Here's some players that I would say, and Matthew, we'll just go through. I'll just give you a player, and you tell me if you agree. We should tell the manager that these are players you need to work with. So, young player, Tahith Chong.
Yeah, work with them. Yeah. Keep him.
100%. I mean, Chris, by the way, obviously Christian Pulisic has to come to Manchester United. Come on. Obviously.
It has to happen.
It has to happen.
Number 7 shirt.
Yes, number 7 shirt, give it to him. Give it to him. He needs it. But, anyways, so, Angel Gomez.
Oh, yes, definitely. Keep him, play him in the first team. Maybe not, every week, but give him occasional games. It's only really going to benefit him. And he's been doing bits for the under 23s too.
Yeah. I completely agree. Mason Greenwood.
Yep, play him. Keep him.
Actual Tuanzebe.
Keep.
Timbo.
Oh, he's a weird one. I think the problem is I don't know what his best position is. I don't think him playing at Fulham, yeah, he's playing every week, but it's not going to really do anything to... It might give him some experience, but I don't think he's going to grow that much from it. And obviously, they sacked a manager and brought in Ranieri, so they're going to win the league this season.
Yes.
But they were just shipping in so many goals. And don't get me wrong, I've not watched a Fulham game from start to finish this season, but a match of the day most weeks, you see him playing, and yeah, he'll do some good things, but he'll make some absolute stupid decisions, like give away a penalty, score an own goal or whatever. I think Timbo's just a bit of a weird one.
So here's the thing. I would tell the manager that make your decision on Timbo. Like, I would say give him a chance, but I wouldn't like kind of like what you're saying. So Ryan Beals is saying we should give Lee Grant the number 7 shirt. So, I mean, that's a fair case. Give Lee Grant the number 7. But
Lee Grant is more than number 7. Humans get number 7. Lee Grant is not. He's not on that level.
He's not on human level.
No. Lee Grant is on Lee Grant level.
So, honestly, Matthew, I think that Timbo is being played out of position. And I think that he needs to be played at CDM, which that's where his natural position was. But he's being asked to play right back and center back and basically everywhere but where his natural position has been. I mean, do you think that we should be telling him that, like, hey, guess what? You're going to be back in the midfield. Do you think that he would improve at that point?
That's where I'd play him in the midfield. I don't know what player compare him to, but kind of like a stronger version of Herrera, someone who's just going to get in your face and sort of patrol that midfield area. I think he'd be pretty good at that. But then again, I'm still not 100% convinced in Foster-Mensah, but I wouldn't sell him, no.
And
I'd give him a good run of games to see how he does.
And that's kind of where I'm at, is I would say give him a run and see how he does. So, I mean, somebody just brought up another good one, which is Callum Gribbins.
I've heard a lot of things about him, but mainly from a few years back.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's doing in under-23s. Like, I watched some of the games, but not every single game. But didn't he get like a massive injury or something?
So, I mean, Matthew, I'm thinking about doing some live watch-alongs for the U23s. I mean, do you have MUTV?
Yeah, I've got it.
I mean, maybe we could do live watch-alongs together for the U23s.
Might as well.
Could be fun.
Yeah.
But, I mean, other than that, like, here's the thing. And I think Matthew and I both agree. We're not saying play these kids week in and week out.
Oh, no. That would be suicide.
But what we are saying is give them their chances, give them sub appearances, give them starting appearances against lower sides, again in FA Cup lower games, in the League Cup lower games. Give them their chances. And they're going to show what they can do. So, I mean, is there anybody else that you would personally, besides like Icardi and, you know, Christian Pulisic, that you would be looking to sign? Just as like or are there anybody else that you think we should be looking to sign? Or do you think we should be focusing on just having our youth come through and play?
If it's not Pulisic, then Jadon Sancho. He's actually kept Pulisic out of the team.
Yeah.
Which is just mad considering what he was doing last season. And to be honest, I don't blame the Dortmund's manager for benching Pulisic at the moment. Sancho is just an absolute form of his life.
Yeah, he's on absolute fire. But the funny thing is, I think if you were to throw Pulisic in the number 10 and let Sancho play on the wings, Jesus, you would have just an absolute.
But then again, they've got Royce as number 10, and they've got a left winger, Larson, who's apparently good as well. So
I thought Royce was playing on the left wing.
What'd you say?
I thought Royce was playing on the left wing.
He does sometimes, but they've got a guy, I think he's called Jacob Larson, as a left winger.
Gotcha.
Who I think he's a similar age to Sancho and Pulisic, and it's in that kind of bracket as well, but doesn't really get talked about quite as much. But Royce has sort of played left wing and number 10 occasionally. So,
and you know what? I mean, I know we've got more questions about kind of like the manager stuff after this.
Yeah.
But Matthew, real quick, I mean, who would you bring in as Manchester United's next manager?
I know that you personally know that I'm a big advocate of Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
I think if we could go another 3 years or something without winning the league, then I'd snap your hand off for him. He's fair. Just got that Man United mentality about him. Like, it doesn't care that he's managing Bournemouth. He's just going to get out there and score more goals in the opposition. I just want a manager who's actually got some kind of vision. Because Mourinho, I mean, as far as vision goes, he's pretty much blind. We want a manager who actually has ideas, is willing to actually, I hate how overused this term is, but play the United way of just fast attacking football. It doesn't even necessarily need to be all-out attack, because that's not going to win you games. You need to play balanced or attacking football and just understand what the fans want, because if you can get on the side of fans, then they'll give you so much more time than a manager who is constantly every week is on the side of fans and not on the side of fans. It's just going to create so much confusion. So any manager with any good vision and kind of resembles how we've been as a club.
Yeah, and honestly, all you have to look at evidence for is Klopp from Liverpool. The fans saw that he had a direction. They were trying to take the team, and they gave him more time, even though he wasn't winning anything. So it goes to show what playing a good style of football can do. I mean, and Reza, so I'm a Poch guy, but I mean, Matthew's kind of more on the Eddie Howe side. And honestly, I could see either guy being a quality manager for Manchester United. So, I mean, Matthew, I mean, like, would you bring in a center back?
I would bring in 100 centre backs, honestly.
Just the team full of centre backs.
Yeah. I mean, that's Mourinho's dream, funnily enough.
See you, Chris.
In terms of who see you gone? See ya. In terms of who I'd bring in, probably an Inter Milan defender, Skriniar. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an Inter Milan season ticket holder or anything, but I've seen a few games and he just looks like that kind of new top-notch centre-back. Koulibaly as well from not Real Madrid, Napoli. I know George Kyle's a big fan of him. Goes on about him a lot.
Yeah.
So any one of those two, I'd probably take.
Vino has been saying De Leggett, Mathis De Leggett, which that's another good one that I would bring in.
Yeah, true. He played against United in that Europa League final, didn't he? When he was about 17 years old.
Yeah.
Again, he's kind of like the Donnarumma of defenders, where yeah, he's still a teenager, but he's got years of experience.
Yeah, exactly. So here's one that I still would bring in to this day. It's Harry Maguire and his 120-inch flat screen TV in the forehead.
Rep in the foreheads. What a man.
Like, just, I honestly think Harry Kane. I think we should bring in Harry Kane too. Why not? You know what?
Harry Kane at centre back.
Yeah, make Harry Kane a center back. Perfect. But I think Harry Maguire would be a class center back for Manchester United. I thought he would have been to pair make a back three of Bailly, Harry Maguire, and Lindelof, and I thought that would have been a class back three, absolute class. But I mean, we've spent a lot of time on this question, Matthew, and we've still got a lot of questions left. So we
might as well move on there.
Yeah, we might as well move on. But I think that plan right there, bringing in a center back, bringing in a couple of players, but then letting our youth play and getting us back to who Manchester United are, I think will get us back to the top form that Manchester United should be. I mean, Matthew, you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, perfect. So moving on, next question is from @Tom P.I. Thomas. Is what would Mourinho have to achieve in the next window and as an end result to the season, league position trophies, for you to be convinced that he is the best option for the club going into the next season? And he said the reason why he's asking this question, he's expecting a lot of life after Mourinho questions. So basically, what do you think would keep Mourinho his job?
I think if Mourinho finds the cure to every disease known to man, then I might be on his side.
Fair enough.
Yeah, maybe, But in terms of footballing, I just don't know where we go, to be honest.
Jay Hart said win the Champions League?
I mean, if he was to win the Champions League, then that's one hell of an achievement. But I can't help but think, see, if he was to win the league or the Champions League with United, I think he'd leave right after that.
I do too.
Because obviously he's described that second place finish as one of the best achievements of his career. He sees winning with this United squad, it's something that is just going to be absolutely out of this world. So you sort of think, why would you have another season where you can only really go down? He's going to want to end on a high. And for his ego as well, that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that the only way that Mourinho should keep his job is if he won the Champions League, because obviously the league is gone. There's no way we're coming back in the league. So I think winning the Champions League would allow Mourinho to keep his job. Now, would I personally agree with that? No. I still think that Mourinho is not the right man to lead Manchester United forward. But if he won the Champions League, I would understand him keeping his job. So, I mean, Matthew, do you agree that if he won the Champions League, you'd be okay with him keeping his job?
Probably, because with the Champions League, you don't really need to play this amazing style of football. It's all about just getting the results to get through to the next round. I think when you're judging a manager, it's got to be in the Premier League.
No, that's fair.
I think with how we're going right now, just nowhere near good enough. But if he actually was to win the Champions League, then you'd probably say, yeah, you know what, fair enough. Might as well give him another season to see how he does. But like I said, I don't think he'd stay after winning in the Champions League or the league or whatever.
And honestly, I agree too. Just so you know, I think that he's done after this year, no matter what, even if it's by his choice or by Manchester United's choice. So, so like Vino said that he wouldn't, even if he won the Champions League, he said he thinks Mourinho has caused too much destruction, so he would still let him go. Derek Cooney said nothing. There's a lot of different things I think most people would agree though that Mourinho isn't the right man for going forward. So Logan at Logan747, he asked, "Who is your ideal Mourinho replacement?" Which we kind of just went over that. It's Eddie Howe for you, correct?
I don't know, to be honest. Well, the dream manager would be Zidane, but if we're talking realistically, then Eddie Howe, maybe Pochettino, but I'd prefer Eddie Howe over Poch.
That's fair. And so for me, my ideal replacement would be Pochettino. I think Pochettino would be a class way to go forward, and I think that he would know what is the Manchester United way. That's just the reason. Like, ultimately, I look at Pochettino and I look at somebody that I could compare to Sir Alex Ferguson to an extent. I'm not saying that he would be the next Sir Alex. I'm just saying I can give him some comparisons to Sir Alex, that he knows how to set up a team. He knows who his best team is. He knows how to bring through youth. He knows how to set up his teams defensively. Like, Tottenham have always been basically one of the top teams in the league defensively. I think Poch is also somebody that is a man manager, and he knows how to deal with players. And for me, that's the reason why I think that Pochettino is the way forward. So, I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be right, but we'll never know until somebody's signed. So, there we go.
Exactly.
Next up, we have a question from @Liam Architect. He said, if Mourinho and Pochettino switched jobs, who would win the trophy first?
Poch.
I 100% agree. I think Pochettino would 100% win a trophy at Manchester United first. I have no doubt in my mind. I think that Pochettino has made his squad at Tottenham that much better. Like, you look at the players that they have, and I think that the reason why they're as good as they are is because of Pochettino. So, I mean,
yeah, 100%. Like Harry Kane, for example. Obviously, he was much younger and just getting into the first team when Pochettino took charge, but he's kind of built that team around him. And yeah, look, they've not won anything. They've not won any league cups or whatever. Yeah. But there's some kind of vision there for the owners to have a look at and say, he's actually going to, use youth players, play this good football that people are wanting, and that's the foundation of everything.
Yeah, and Derek Cooney saying, bring goal machine Harry Kane with him. Yeah, I honestly think that there are players that might follow Pochettino with him. I think they believe in his system. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on to a question from Sally Mitchell, who you might recognize Sally from the United Stand. She's at Sally Devil Red on there, but she's at Sally Mitch 1 on Twitter. She asked the question, why do our board/owners seem to employ managers that simply don't fit Manchester United or its football? For men running a multi-billion-pound organization, that's inexcusable. No planning, thought, or forward thinking. Sally, number one, completely agree with what you said at the end there. But, Matthew, why do you think that our board has appointed the defensive managers that they have, which are not Manchester United's true form?
I think there's three completely different situations when it came to appointing each new manager. Like David Moyes, I mean, he was just a disaster from day one. But that was really, what's speculated to be Alex Ferguson's recommendation, and you're going to listen to Fergie. I think with Louis van Gaal, I'm not 100% sure as to why they really went for him. If I remember at the time, there weren't any really, other world-class managers. Obviously, Zidane wasn't really a thing in terms of management. Klopp was still at Dortmund. It was his last season at Dortmund. So Louis van Gaal, I'm not 100% sure how they came about going for him. But with Mourinho, they wanted that status signing to say, right, we mean business now. And obviously, it's not quite worked how we expected. But at the time, I think we were all absolutely buzzing to see Mourinho in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm the first to admit that I was excited to see Mourinho get signed because I thought for sure that the status quo of him winning a title in 2 years would continue. So
I think most of us thought that sort of Chelsea slip-up was just a one-off.
But it's starting to look more like the trend rather than the
the old third season syndrome kind of thing.
So, I mean, personally, Sally, I mean, I look at what Matthew said, and I agree with basically everything he said. I mean, I think our board just look at the big name signings, and they I think other than David Moyes, who was obviously the handpicked guy from Fergie. But I look at Van Gaal, and Van Gaal was a big name signing. I mean, Mourinho, big name signing, which is why I think that they're looking at that instead of what is best for the team. So, and in all honesty, like I think that's pretty much our board's goal, though, is the big name signings, because I think it's what brings it's exactly what Ryan Beals just said. He said they want shirt sales and clicks on social media, and that's exactly what I think that the board looks for. Is what are the big names? They want the big clicks, you know.
Yeah.
So,
which surprises me even more as to why we've not gone in for Pulisic. Because when you think about it from a marketing point of view, he is the perfect signing.
Yeah.
Because there's not necessarily a power shift, but you see more and more people from different countries taking an interest in Man City, and what's a way to get, or at least the American fans back, buying their best player.
Yeah,
it just makes perfect sense.
And I agree, man. Like I think that the board look for what are the big name signings from each country, you know, and it is kind of frustrating too. It is kind of frustrating. Because I think that we're not necessarily thinking about what's the best for the team. We're thinking about what's the best for the money. So
yeah, exactly. So I was just distracted by Arthur.
Everybody's distracted by Arthur. Let's be honest.
He's like the channel mascot in a way.
It's Arthur. Arthur is the channel mascot. Jared, let's be honest. If it wasn't for Arthur, who would really watch? Come on now. But anyway, so I mean, we're an hour in. We've still got more questions to go, man. I'm just gonna start trying to pick the good questions. If like, I'll give people shout outs though if I don't read your question anyways. Actually, you know what? I was asked this by Ryan earlier, and I think it's a very fair question. Should Manchester? This, by the way, this question comes from @Sigma_John. He said, "Should Manchester United fans worldwide join together to oust the Glazers? Because as long as they're in charge, we're doomed. The changes need to start at the top."
It's all good talking about that, but realistically, in terms of going to the games, how are we going to convince so many people to not turn up to watch their team? Yeah, we're in a dire situation at the moment, but we went to Manchester when we're in terrible form. Yeah, we still watched the team and still enjoyed it. I think the only way that the Glazers will actually sit up and listen, or take note, is if the stadium is nowhere near its capacity, and if there's a massive shortage in sales for like kits or whatever. But it's almost impossible organising that.
Yeah, and I agree. And Mr. Exclusive, you just said, has anybody got $4 billion to spare to buy the club? I mean, guys, if we got any billionaires watching, give it to us and we'll take over the club. We'll make it profitable. I guarantee it. But I think that's a great question. And ultimately, Matthew, I do agree with you. Derek said he's only got 3.9 billion. Dang it, Derek.
That's useless. Get off the
street. Dang it.
I'm going to ban you for that.
And ultimately, I agree with you. I think that with what you said about, it's a great thought, but I just don't think that it's realistic.
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
Because ultimately, in order for the owners to truly be gotten rid of, literally every single Manchester United fan would have to stop watching the games, would have to stop buying the team merchandise, and they would have to stop going to games. Literally everybody would have to stop in order for the owners to sell the team, and that's just not realistic.
The companies that we've struck commercial deals with, they're going to have to do something as well.
Yeah,
because that would be the last straw for them.
And that's exactly right, dude. It's exactly right. So we'll go ahead. Let's see here. We got so at Soph_E0303. I mean, she asked us a few different questions, but we already did answer the question about if there's any youth players we think could succeed at United. So this is something that I've been wanting to talk about, and it comes from Ryan Beals, who's at MUnited0901. He said, "Would you take the Saudi owners and taint the club from a moral standpoint, buy success and very shady owners, but have success, or keep the Glazers and the integrity of the club, but stay mediocre?"
I looked at this question and I thought, is he going to ask this? From a moral standpoint, not in a million years. No way would I ever take. Well, if the allegations are true that they've got, journalists murdered, that kind of thing, would not approach them with a barge pole. But obviously, they would put tons of money into the club. But I don't know, from a morality point of view, I wouldn't take them.
And honestly, man, I agree with you. I would prefer to keep the Glazers in charge because ultimately I don't want Manchester United to become like Manchester City. I don't want to just buy our success. I want our success to be earned. I want our success to be because we earned it, not because we bought it. That's literally
preferably. I'd like owners who are clean in terms of no bad records or whatever. People who are going to put money into the club, but obviously within regulation, and who actually care about the football.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Vino, I do agree with you that Traore, I think he's a very promising youth player as well. He's somebody I forgot to mention when we were going over that. So we've got another pretty good question here from Soph. She asked, who's one player you would take from one of the top 6 sides and why?
Sergio Aguero. I'm not going to lie, I kind of like him, which is absolutely blasphemous to say, but he's been a consistent Premier League goal scorer for 7 years now.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't have any sign of slowing down.
And for me, excuse me, I would pick Harry Kane. I would pick Harry Kane because I look at him as a very marketable guy. I think that he's also obviously he's an outstanding goal scorer. He can make things happen. He's got great hold-up play. He basically can do everything. And plus, he's literally just hitting his prime. So
that's true as well.
I think Harry Kane would be the one player I would buy from one of the top 6 sides. So
you can also look at centre-backs too. And,
yeah.
Even though he plays for that team, Virgil van Dijk, I must have seen him for about 4 or 5 years now when he was at Celtic. And even at Celtic, he was by an absolute mile the best player. And he's just an absolute tank of a defender. So obviously, if he didn't play for the Scousers, then I'd 100% take him. But obviously, bridges have been burned due to that.
Well, so Mr. Exclusive says he'd buy Callum Wilson. Fair.
I mean, they are a top 16.
They are a top 16. That's true. Logan has said Hazard, which I know that's kind of a joke from you, Logan. Derek Cooney said David Silva. That's not a bad shout. I think that he's a little bit old for me personally, but it's still not a bad shout. Jared said Harry Kane's not a bad shout, but he'd go with N'Golo Kante, and I think Kante is a really good shout too. I really do.
Well, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
See the start of last season when Matic and Pogba were playing in the midfield too. One thing that allowed Pogba to get forward was Matic being so good when it came to positional sense. And Kante has that pace to get into any position defensively. So that's going to help Pogba get further forward, even in the midfield too. And then that makes for more numbers up front. So probably him as well. And
talk about a midfield pairing together of Pogba and Kante. Jesus.
Yeah. It's like how they are in France.
Yeah. And then Vino said Jorginho would be his guy. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and we'll move on from there. Sophie did ask a couple of more questions, but we literally have one more question, and I feel like it's a very appropriate way to end the show. So this question is from CP Morgan, who's at ANVESH_97. He asked, what is the way forward for United?
Not with Mourinho. Getting rid of him, starting off. I honestly don't know. We're in such a weird situation. Like I said, we've got no identity. So we can't even look at things and say, oh yeah, that's our plan going forward.
Yeah.
We just don't really have one.
Yeah.
Like you said, we want to look at a bigger picture, but we're kind of forced to take everything as they come, like every game as they come. And unfortunately, that's not how we should be thinking as fans. Because under Alex Ferguson, we'd lose games, but we think, yeah, whatever, we lose games now and then. It's all about this season. But with Mourinho, he's never really one loss away from keeping his job, if you believe the press, that is.
Yeah, seriously.
So I think in terms of the future of United, there could be any prediction, to be honest, and it could be valid.
So for me, I believe that the way forward for Manchester United is get rid of Mourinho first. And I mean, Ryan Bales did say, obviously, we have to start Lee Grant.
That's a good suggestion. Scott McTominay in centre midfield as well. How have I not mentioned him?
Yes.
What a man.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Matthew. I know he's your Scottish homie. My bad.
British midfielder to have a racist club.
So I honestly, the way forward, get rid of Mourinho. Get rid of the players that should not be in the squad. People like Matic, Jones, honestly, like anybody that you guys know who we're talking about, like people that don't deserve to be in the Manchester United squad, like truly don't deserve to be, because we all know that people like Rashford. I mean, even at the worst, Lingard deserves to be in the squad. I'm not saying be a starter, but be in the squad. I think we need to get rid of the deadwood, allow the youth to play, and bring in a couple of people, bring in a couple of signings, and that is the way forward for Manchester United. I honestly don't believe we are that far off from being one of the top clubs in the world again. I mean, Matthew, do you agree with me on that? I don't think we're that far off.
Again, it's hard to answer that. It depends on what we do in the next couple of years. If we get rid of Mourinho and get someone with an actual vision and someone who is going to promise certain things and hopefully deliver them, then maybe we'll be back up there. But like I said, any situation with United in the next few years is a completely plausible one. Like we could be on top of the world in 5 years, but equally we could be in the bottom half of the table in 5 years.
Yeah.
As much as we don't want to admit it, it is a bit of a possibility. So any situation, to be honest, I wouldn't really argue against it.
I think that putting the appropriate manager in is obviously going to be what the best thing is for the team. And so Jay Hart said, just a quick reminder, we've been struggling to get ahead of Wolves since October. Yeah, no, very true, Jay Hart. Very true. But I ultimately agree with you because we don't know what we truly have. But at the same time, I truly believe we have a world-class talent pool at Manchester United. But they're not being played and nurtured to their best potential. And I think that you bring in a manager that could play the team to its best potential, and we will see a league title come in no time. But just real quick, so as a fun question, so Vino said, who should we sign from Phoenix Rising? He said Drogba, but that's a Mourinho signing. That's a Mourinho signing. You want to talk about a signing for Phoenix Rising? Kevon Lambert.
I'll go for Jason Johnson just for that commentary moment. So we can get American commentary in a United game. And if he scores a bicycle kick, you'll get that Jason Johnson moment.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
That's fair. That's fair. I look at Kevon Lambert as somebody that's literally still 21 years old. He's a hell of a midfielder. And I actually could see him potentially one day making it as far as going to a Premier League club if he lives up to all of his potential. So why not bring in the Jamaican international from Phoenix Rising to Manchester United? Yeah, Ryan Beals, exactly. With Drogba, yay, another Chelsea reject. But Matthew, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up there because we honestly, we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. We had a hell of a show here today, guys. And I told you it was going to be a great show. We basically had always over 15 people watching. For over an hour, we had over 15 people watching. And honestly, guys, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you just joined me and my Scottish friend Matthew for a Q&A session about Manchester United. So, Matthew, do you have anything you want to shout out, my friend?
Yeah, sure. If you don't already, go to my Twitter and follow me or block me or whatever you want to do. It's @_Matthew.
It's in the description.
_MAFFO. in the description, as well as Offside Graphics, which I see you've linked there. So thanks for that again.
In the description.
It's going in the description. Yep, it's going really well actually. That store. I've had quite a few sales in the last few days, so everything's going well. But yeah, have a look at that if you want.
Yeah, buy this right here, guys. Right here. See this? This is Matthew. In case you didn't know, this is Matthew. So, guys, going forward, we're probably going to limit the questions so that way we keep this under an hour. But for today, with the international break, I figured just make it a nice long show so that way people can have some entertainment. But guys, again, God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please drop a like on the video. And just thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of you guys. And I can't wait till we can continue to do this. And this is going to be something we are going to continue to do weekly together. So, guys, God bless you. Have a great night, great day, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Keep doing you because you guys are awesome. Thank you.